The mistakes that I've made as a founder, probably like failed on like 6 different startups, is to sell first and then build. Building is always like,
differentiating between like a supplement product and an oxygen product, like a painkiller.
We will venture back, panicking and thinking, okay, what's the bigger, like more painful problem we could solve for people, right? Where people pay us. We built out the product all through January, and in Feb and March we got like 10 paying users. Like some pay like $1,000, which is our starter plan, and some pay $2,000. So we actually hit like a 10K MRR. This is an indicator for are you providing value to people or not. So if you're doing something right and people aren't paying you, probably it's not a painful enough problem that you're solving. I'm an engineer as well, so I'm obsessed about like I love building, right? Like there's so many ideas that I want to build, but usually that's a mistake. I'd rather.
Before we get started, I just want to know, what are you into? How did you get started? When did you get started? And what are you doing now? And how's your plan overall? How are you doing things?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually started off with another product called Stable Chat.
Okay.
Which was basically, we saw that in emerging markets, a bunch of people were using stable coins, but this was limited to like a niche in Web3, where people were trading like with stable coins. It was like a very small crowd, but a large part of the populace did not use Web3 essentially because they didn't know how to create a wallet, like, transact with stable coins. So our initial idea was, okay, how do you allow like regular users to use stable coins? And what we ended up with was SMS and WhatsApp.
Okay.
We built essentially like a bot where you could send stable coins to your parents, especially like I used to live in Sweden. I used to send money back home, right? And I was doing this through traditional channels like wires and everything.
Okay.
The issue was I used to take a lot of time send money, and stable coins were so easy. Like when between like friends, it was so easy to send stable coins. It was like within seconds on Solana based, for example. So we were like, okay, how do we connect this to WhatsApp and just use it for remittance, right? So that was our initial sort of problem that we solved. But we saw that we weren't making money. Like a way to make money there either was was through people that were arbitraging USD or INR via price changes. That was one. So we couldn't do volume. So we earned only if we did like hundreds of thousands of dollars in volume, right? Because we were taking a cut on the transaction. So we're like, okay, this is a great product. Let's just keep it alive, but we need to build something that's more of a business. So that's when we sort of saw like a deeper problem, both in Europe and in India, is that when we accept stable coins for a business transaction, you're supposed to pay 30% in income tax. So not income tax, virtual digital asset tax. Even though it's income, it's considered as some sort of capital gains that you have to pay. Like, okay, this doesn't sort of work. And we saw like a bunch of people just accepting stable coins and trying to use peer-to-peer methods to sort of
just to stop you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know, for the people who don't know what are stable coins, can you just tell me a quick thing on what?
Okay. A stable coin is just a digital replica of a US dollar on a blockchain.
Okay.
So it basically is like a currency that's pegged to the US dollar. But if I send you one USDC, which is a stable coin circle, it's essentially as good as sending you $1.
There is also something called as USDC and DT something.
Yeah, exactly.
What exactly?
So different companies have minted like stable coins on the blockchain. The biggest one is of course Tether. Okay. But Tether is sort of based outside the US. Even though like Tether is a good business and they have shown like public records that they are not insolvent, USDC is based in the US. It's like a circle product, and the government of the United States backs it with the Genius Act. They're backing stablecoins that are minted in the United States. They're the second biggest player.
When did you start your product after you pivoting from the initial thinking with respect to service?
Yeah, absolutely. We won a hackathon for Stable Chat back in July 2025. So we built a Stable Chat and scaled to 300 daily active users until December. And during December is when we got a bit uncomfortable because we're not making enough money and we were venture backed, right? So we need to show progress. That's when we're like, okay, we're panicking and thinking, okay, what's the bigger, more painful problem we could solve for people, right? Where people pay us. So that's when we pivoted and we built out the product all through January. And in Feb and March, we got 10 paying users. Like some pay $1,000, which is our starter plan, and some pay $2,000. So we actually hit a 10K MRR, which is which shows like there's some traction there. When people start paying you for a problem that you're solving, then you know that there's something there.
So there's a gap between people telling this is a good product and they paying it. So and it's a long gap. Then people think it is.
Exactly. Like price is an indicator for are you providing value to people or not.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something right and people aren't paying you, probably it's not a painful problem that you're solving.
Because a lot of people just walk away telling it's a nice product. I mean,
it's a nice to have.
Yeah,
not a must have.
Yeah. So it was lovely. So just curious to know anything like if let's just say somebody is just starting out in a journey like this, maybe like an entrepreneur or something. What is the kind of advice that you will give?
I think like the mistakes that I've made as a founder, starting off my journey, I started like years ago, probably like failed on like 6 different startups. Is to sell first and then build. Building is always like, I'm an engineer as well, so I'm obsessed about like, I love building, right? Like there's so many ideas that I want to build, but usually that's a mistake. I'd rather have an idea, sell it to a few people, see if people are willing to pay me $1 or $2 for it, and then go and build it.
Okay, this is personally that I'm facing a problem with. Just curious to know, let's just say if you were breaking this down. Okay, to be very frank, okay, this sounds like good to know, and maybe its implementation is a different thing. So maybe let's just say if I'm starting with I got an idea, I've not yet opened my IDE. Okay, this is what you're suggesting. So what do you say? Like just reach out to people, pitch the problem, and if and you're telling try to do a pre-sale before you make the product is
absolutely. And this is what I've learned from watching a lot of founders, right? For example, the guy who built like airline credit in the US, right? So I forgot his name. I think it was Jesse Itzler. So Jesse Itzler wanted investment for selling a 24-hour card to a private jet. So he basically wanted to like commoditize private jet. So I buy his card, I access private jet whenever I want, right? For a 24-hour window. And he was trying to sell this to like American Airlines. No one was buying. He did not get investment. Finally, what he did was he spoke to like, I think like a bunch of people, and he collected 10 of them, right? He collected like 10 people who wanted to pay $2,000, $5,000 for his product, and he brought them with him to the board of the American Airlines, the investors. And it was like, here's 10 people who are willing to pay like $5,000, $10,000 for this pass. How would you invest now? That's when they changed their mind, and like he didn't have a product.
Okay, I like it. This is the same model how Tesla initially did to get started. A common question that would come here is, because see, initially you have a vision, you're trying to sell your vision. So even you're not clear with the end product, right? So how do you bridge this gap between, because it's easy to go to someone and tell this is my vision, because it sounds good just to say. So how do you bridge this gap, and what are the things that you tangibly take and show to the other person that believe and commit to a pre-sale or something, or to show the right validation from there?
Yeah, so when it comes to like, it depends on who you're selling to. If you're selling to the customers, the only thing that will convert a customer is if you're solving a painful problem for them. If you say, hey, you're gonna use this product and you're gonna save like, I don't know, 10x on how much, like for example, I'll give you an example for Stablecorp. One of our customers was spending like north of $20,000 a year on their entity setup in Dubai, right? And when we said, hey, we could help you set the whole thing up for $2,000 plus change, they're saving so much money, it was a no-brainer for them. And that's one thing that helped. And the second thing is traction, which is the hard part. You have to build and sell at the same time. Even if you have one customer, one true believer in you, you can tell the other guys that, hey, here's proof. This guy's actually like using the solution. Or even better, if you are the user and you have used it, then you can confidently tell. Because usually how solutions work is that it's a hack, right? Initially, like our whole like model was a setup that me and my co-founder ran for a business in Sweden, right? So it was a patched off work where we had like one CA, one like lawyer, one guy to set up the entity, everything. And we were trying to like use this model. It was all like, it was pretty much a ducted solution. So we knew it worked. It wasn't productized. Once we knew that it works, like it was easier for us to convince other people that, hey, this model works.
So you're basically telling, build your first credibility. So the moment you build it, use him as a credibility or it as a credibility to further pitch. Telling that, hey, even he bought it, since it is used for him, even you should buy this. Absolutely. You better buy this. Okay. one thing that would come here, let's just say, now you were talking about the ideas. Now, how do you discard the bad ideas so that you come to something that is tangible and sustainable? Because I guess you were pivoting into, because there are some cool ideas to build and there are some, you need to build on sustainability, because money is ultimately, even you want to survive bread as a bread and butter.
Yeah.
How do you balance this thing?
So I usually follow a mantra from like Y Combinator. They have this startup school series where they have like 1 or 2 videos on how to pick good ideas. Like once you start, like there's 2 ways to do it. One is experience. You just build stuff and you figure out, okay, what people are paying for and what people are not. I think Peter Levels is a great example of this. He built like, I don't know, 17 products in like 2 days and figured out which one you can monetize, and then we'll double down on that, right? And YC has a really good video of how to discard ideas. They basically have this
Target ideas, something.
Yeah, target ideas. You discard target ideas. The ones that sound good, they make more money, right? But the better sort of, in the same video, they also have this thing which I use personally, is like high frequency, high pain, high intensity curve, right? High frequency is like, okay, it should be like toothpaste. I use it every single day, right? It should be a repeat customer that I have. Sometimes ideas are like, okay, it's a one-time thing, right? Like buy a television. I probably buy it once every 10 years maybe, right? That's not a high frequency thing. Payments are a high frequency. Content is a high frequency thing. So something like that, and then high intensity. How painful is it? Like, is this guy going to give me like $1,000 if I solve it for him right now? That's another.
It's like basically differentiating between like a supplement product and an oxygen product, like a painkiller.
Exactly.
And with respect to frequency, you're telling it's like higher the frequency, the more the cash flow you will have with respect to the business, and more the chances of you converting them on a daily basis and getting them.
Absolutely. And one more, like age old, like if you're a founder without any of this bloat, if you want to start something, the best founders I know, they just copy things that work. If there's a product or a service that is working for other people, just copy exact same thing, because the market's so huge for like some of these products that you can just copy and still coexist in the market.
Okay.
So copying works. And copy and then differentiate, because like PG has this thing, it's called like a startup value, wherein like a small number of users that absolutely love your product is better than like a large number of users that barely like, just like your product.
Yeah.
So you need to build for that niche who absolutely like are diehard fans of your product. It's fine if it's like just 100 people or 10 people, right?
Okay.
But that's your wedge.
So you're basically telling, instead of convincing 100 people on a very vague feature, let's build a cult-like audience for your product, customer base for your product, who feel like this product is just made for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So
this makes sense.
That's how we got started, right? Like ours was a product that was for remote founders who are earning stable coins. Like remote is basically not in the US where there's access. There's plenty of competitors we have in the US who are doing exactly what we're doing, but we're not there. We are for remote founders.
Yeah.
And they're using stable coins, which is another web. So basically that's how we built out like, our early sort of adopters.
Okay. Again, stressing on the same part of you telling, selling over building first. Okay. I would ask you one thing. See, now you have built an evidence. Okay. You have built I would tell like a stack of things that work for you. But initially when somebody is starting out, let's just say somebody watching here is starting out, how do they pass through their initial thing of I would tell like surviving the phase of figuring out distribution first, because it's to be very frank, I've been there, I'm into that, so I understand like it's okay to tell like let me go and sell, and when you don't have a confidence, so what do you say? What are the channels do you suggest? Maybe is it cold reach out? Is it go build your personal brand? What do you suggest there?
I think there's a long-term way and a short-term way, right? Like the long-term way is like building content and proof around like what you're doing. Basically it's like one-to-many, right? One-to-many distribution channel, like pick a Twitter channel, Instagram, YouTube, and do content specifically for your audience. And then eventually once you have an audience, you can monetize it. That's a slow and organic way of building it. And the harder way, which also like, I don't know if it's harder or easier, is just like using LinkedIn, Twitter, your connections to find out who's going to buy your product, and then just doing volume.
Okay, just I wanted to ask one more question. That is, how are you getting your inbound lead? Like, is it like you're externally reaching them out? How is it? What's your funnel, by the way?
Yeah, so like since we're a trust-based product, like more than like 60-70% of our customers are friends of friends. So once we close one customer here in Bangalore, they're friends who are like, hey, we're using this solution, we absolutely love it, we can accept payments from Web3 companies and stablecoins. They convince like their friends. When one guy sees the other guy sort of benefit from something, that sort of spreads our trust.
So you're playing on the word of mouth and networking aspect here.
Yeah,
Completely.
Yeah, for 60-70%. The other ones, we're building a funnel through cold DMs. Yeah.
Okay.
Cold DMs and
primary sources, the word of mouth, and as well as cold DMs. Right? Who is the founder who is reaching out to people, or have you set up like a team or something, or a person who does this for you?
So initially, all three of us were building the product, but then there was this insane paranoia that was in me that like we're gonna fail if we don't make money. So that's when I was like, I jumped to sales and started doing sales full time. Then the other two were building, but now that the product is somewhere stable, they're also doing the same, because at the end of the day, the rate at which you grow is what makes you fundable or not.
Yeah.
VC is basically like jet fuel. If you want to raise money, you need that jet fuel, and you need to showcase that you're growing so fast that you're fundable. So there are two factors that matter.
Okay, interesting. Now I want to end up with a question. Let's just say, a lot of time we see people having like a co-founder with them, like somebody who is managing both, somebody technical co-founder, a CTO and a CEO, or else a CMO as a marketing guy. How do you balance this, and how have you split up your team in terms of the early stage when you were growing and now when you're stable?
So initially, like I was the CTO and we had like sort of external help for sales, but eventually what happened was you as a founder figure out, okay, what is your company sort of failing at, and then it becomes your responsibility to learn and like pick things up, right? So it's not like I want to do sales from the beginning. It's something that like we learned over time, right? Because this is something that was needed for us to sort of push the company ahead. It was just like learning on the job, right? Like just doing volume. Like every time I pitch, it improves. The more iterations I get, the better I get, right? So it was like, okay, sorry about that. Like, we need to do this. How do we get it done? It's like forcing, like we die if we don't do this.
Okay.
Kind of.
So you put yourself into a situation like do or die.
Yeah, do or die.
Okay.
That always works. Like that's also how like some of my previous ventures worked. It's like you have to put yourself as like, okay, if I don't get this done, I'm not going to be able to pay rent next month, right? And then you figure out a way. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So path brother. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of time, right?
Okay. If you can just tell your website name or URL.
It's mystablecorp.xyz. mystablecorp.xyz.
Done. So thank you so much.
Cheers, brother.
It was lovely talking to you.
Likewise.
Thank you. It was lovely, man.
I want you to fucking win.